struggling with what shape to make the seat here. My plan this whole time has been to kind of just make the entire length, meet it up with the full length of the hoop here. But looking at it, I feel like building it up and having it kind of flat and aggressive looking right here, that's going to leave a lot of material to make it look just like it's got a big old badonk on it. Almost too big. So I was also thinking about taking the fiberglass, kind of bringing it down over the tube, having a little bit more vertical height. And that would add even more. I don't know, I'm really torn. I could bring a seat on top of the tube, bring it back to about here, go over the fender, and that just lets it maintain a light, airy look back here, which I kind of like, because the fender is going to be a different color, and if it's only seeing this much of it, then what's the point of painting it? Decisions to make. Well, I think this gives you an idea of maybe what I have in my head now. Up until about 30 minutes ago, fully intended to make one to the back, but I think this is where I'm going to go. I'll keep it light looking in the back, and we don't have to focus on, doing following the line up here or anything like that. I think this might look good. So something comes up, ends pretty sharp right here. Just a short little seat, and then this line would just continue down, like we would just have a round section here with a stitch seam, and that would just come down and follow all the way along that area. And on the front, I could probably build it up maybe slightly over the lip of the tank, but even if I just butted it up against that, it would look totally fine. Just leave a little bit of room for that bolt. But I know it's going to be hard to see, it's wireframe. I've never actually really wireframed anything before. I figured this is a good excuse to give it a shot. But if you look at it from this angle, it's like one line here, yet it's a continuous curve. So I think it would flow really nice just along that transition into here. I've made one seat like this, kind of exposed with like an exposed grab handle on that XS400 I did. And that was to just basically act as a grab handle, because if you're moving that bike around the trail, it's just a convenient thing to have. But yeah, I just feel like if I had, here, we still have my original piece. So with this back here, same seat height, but I just feel like there would be so much. How did I get that to balance right then? That's crazy. I just feel like there would be so much material back here for such a small bike, it might look out of place. So I think the plan has changed. We're going to build it on top the hoop, and I will continue with my seat mounting idea. So we'll have two mounts here, and then I will make some kind of guide pin or guide location up in the front, probably right under the tank. I have a lot of room here. We don't need to use any of that, so we'll probably throw something there. We will just make a nice attractive bolt for this, and that will just be left exposed. So I think that's what we're gonna go for. Alright, I'm getting rolling on the mounting system for the seat. So up here I have just a couple pieces of tubing, and I've cut a relief into this factory kind of cross brace here, or the fuel tank mount. I recessed those in so they're kind of level, and my idea there is to just use some regular rod here, and then that'll be on like the front of the seat pan. You'll kind of just set that in there, and then that'll just help locate it. And then as far as the rear seat mounts, I'm going to do the same thing I did on my last bike, which is a little bobber build, and that is these quick release pins. So these things are pretty trick. It's just a single little push button. So you hit that, releases the pin here, and then these come with just some hardware, and then you can adjust the height. So where I will put these, I'm going to have two of them. I'm going to put those in the corner of the tray here. So we'll drill a hole in the tray on either side, and then we'll just have the button side exposed on the bottom. So what you'll do is you just reach under here, pop the buttons, the back of the pan will pop up, and then you just pull it back and it's no big deal. So I think that's going to be the method I do here. Now, being that we're going to be building a fiberglass pan, I want to make sure I have minimal distortion in it. So I'll have these over here, our hardware sticking up, and then I have a piece of flat bar. This isn't it, but I have a piece of flat bar that will tie in on either side, and this will get sandwiched within the fiberglass. And then welded to that flat bar will be another length of flat bar running up here, probably another cross brace, and then we'll just have the actual rods that extend into this. I might actually bend that, make it one piece, but that'll give me just a kind of a strong tie point. What we'll do is we'll lay down some fiberglass and then actually fit these things on top of that, and then we'll do more fiberglass on top, and it'll all be sandwiched. So it should be strong, should maintain its thinness, and then it should be pretty relatively lightweight. So I know with a pan this size, it probably wouldn't be too much more weight to just do a steel pan, but you know what? In the name of trying different things and learning, we're going to go for a fiberglass pan. The only thing I've made out of fiberglass has been just the rear cowl, or the rear cowl for that XS400 I did. And other than that, maybe a couple of repairs. So let's see how this goes. Alright, so I've made up a quick little bracket. I've done just a little bit of weld on the backside of a nut to this thing to kind of lock the top one in place, because you're not going to have access to this. And then down here you just have this, the other nut acting as a jam nut. Now, It's important that you leave these things adjustable because, of course, that's going to determine the height you need. So just setting it in here, they clip in real nice, and then you just hit the button on the bottom, quick release. Super nice. So what we'll do, I'll get these things adjusted about where they need to go. I'll kind of lock it in place, and that'll allow me to build my bracket towards the front, and then we'll get the front end tied in, and then we can start fiberglassing. I just went ahead and moved the nuts to the top of this thing just so it's easier to do these adjustments and get this thing set up. Alright, so I've got a layer of tape down here, and my goal is going to be to kind of just mimic this little curve right here and make everything kind of transition and flow without having like a weird dip in anywhere or a high spot. So my first layer is going to be this tape, and then I'm actually going to put a piece of like packaging foam on top of this, and that's going to create a space for like the leather or whatever the seat material is going to be. That's going to create a space for it to wrap around the actual pan itself and then lay on top the tube. That's typically how I like mine to fit. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and get that out, and then I will use some clear packaging like film, just wrap it up tight like everybody else does, and then we'll just kind of go for it. So this is going to be the most challenging spot here, is just making this transition look just kind of even and equal and just look good. But hopefully we knock it out and we can have a good looking seat pan. Now you're going to notice as I get going with this first layer, I'm having trouble kind of getting it to lay down exactly how I want. part of that is due to the fact that I'm trying to lay down the initial layer over my release agent, which is just a wax, so it's not going to want to conform or kind of even stay in place very well until I get more layers on top of it. But the main issue is actually the applicator or the brush that I chose. For some reason, I think it was just a convenience thing, I just bought a bunch of these little foam paint brushes and it really did not work at all. I couldn't apply any real pressure to anything, and I couldn't apply any pressure in a precision matter. So eventually you'll see I do go to a more bristle type brush, which worked fine. That's what I should have done from the beginning, but of course I'm learning here and I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to fiberglass. And really, I have no idea why I bought those brushes. Definitely a mistake, so don't do that. But the layers that I added after this went on fine. I just kind of put smaller sections on it and kind of beefed up the front, the middle, and the back. And then I did a kind of thin strip you'll see along the sides where the kind of the frame hoop is. So that just kind of added some more rigidity there. Now once the base layers were dry, it's time to go ahead and get the frame attached to this thing and get it sandwiched in. So what I did is I just drilled some holes for those rear pins to kind of go through. Once I have those holes drilled, I can go ahead and fit the actual seat frame down onto the fiberglass layer. And then you see here I have some channel locks. I'm just rotating those rear screws to kind of bring that frame down to meet flush with the actual fiberglass, leaving no air gap. And then from here, once I have it fitting how I want, I can apply some resin and I start building it up with fiberglass. But the mistake I made is I used a large piece right from the start, and you see here I was just fighting it, trying to get it to adhere to the actual painted metal frame, and it just wanted to bubble up, creating a bunch of problems. It was really tough in the beginning. Eventually I got it to settle down, but not quite as nice as what I'd ultimately hoped. But I went back and used just kind of smaller torn off pieces to then apply to it, and that works so much better. I should have done that from the get-go, but live and learn. After 2 or 3 layers of fiberglass on top that frame, locking it in, I went back with one more layer, as you see here, just to kind of add just a little bit more rigidity, maybe in the corners or in the spots that I saw that might flex. And after those are dry, that's the last of the fiberglass for the seat. It's a bunch of layers, it should be plenty strong. But now it's time to remove this thing, get it cut to shape, and make it look like a seat. Time to get cutting. So here I just have a thick black mark going right along where I want to cut. So we'll cut far and then we'll just trim it back as we need, because we can't add more on. So I think this is going to look really good how it is. So let's get it all trimmed up. go. This thing's all trimmed up, and I think it's gonna look good. So overall, not too difficult, just a little time consuming with dry times and such. But I have it all trimmed up here, so basically it's maybe just past the end of the tank, and we'll build that up with foam and stuff whenever it goes to upholstery. I think right back here, you know, it's pretty rigid. It's rigid enough to hold down the actual upholstery, and I think we're going to maintain a good gap between the actual seat pan and the fender. And of course, these pins right here, they're always, you know, adjustable. So pop those off. And that will let you set your tension. Doing this one-handed here. Simple as that. All right, after some trimming, we have a great looking seat pan here, and this is the first fiberglass seat pan I've ever made. I think it turned out great, if I do say so myself. The actual idea for the kind of internal frame kind of sandwiched in the fiberglass, that actually came from another video I saw from Benji V, and he has a great channel. He makes great videos, currently doing a GS750 Suzuki build that's really awesome. So I'm going to link his video in the description. Definitely go check him out. Give him a follow if you would. I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, this one, really like how it turned out. I know the shape is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that's not what it's about. I'm building this to exactly how I want, and I think this is going to fit the proportions of the bike better than my original idea of having it kind of all the way to the back of the frame. I just think there would have been too much visual weight on this thing, and I feel this is going to work better. I promise we're going to make it look cool. There's going to be some rad upholstery on this thing. We're going to match it with the tank. I've already got some cool ideas with that, so definitely stick around for that. If this is the first video of mine you've seen on the channel and you like it, I definitely recommend taking a cruise through other videos that I have on here. I have a wide variety, and there's bound to be something that you like. But overall, I hope you guys like this video. Maybe you learned something. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. More than likely, I'm an idiot. But if you guys have any questions, leave them below. I'll have all the necessary stuff linked in the description, so definitely check that out. And that's going to do it. So I hope you guys like this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.